Hi, friends, I'm Eralia, and welcome back into the Eralia Show, a space for intentional conversations offline. Hello, and welcome, you beautiful people, back into the show, back into the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here with me today for today's conversation. I'm looking forward to the things we will discuss, things we'll unpack, the things we'll reflect on, hopefully arming ourselves to be the best versions of ourselves moving into the future. I really enjoy and really cherish these moments, and I'm blessed to be able to speak with you all and connect over the human experience outside of maybe playing video games or watching movies, things that are really easy to just throw on and, enjoy. But where's the depth? Where's the analysis? Where is the further conversation held? And that's where I love chatting with y'all, because I feel like this is more relatable than anything else perhaps. And oftentimes the conversations that we want to have, that we need to have the most, are the ones that we want to have the least. And I find huge value in having these conversations with y'all and hearing your stories. And I truly believe that these episodes find you exactly when they're meant to, and they serve their purpose. And that is what I wish to bring forward to the table today. For you to become your most magnetic, most aligned, most beautiful, higher version of yourself, and to share this with those that you love and those around you, maybe in terms of encouragement, maybe someone that you know is sometimes faced with a difficult conversation or needs a little motivation, or just wants to yap about some stuff every once in a while. That's what brings me here, is the human experience and the space to have these kinds of conversations. So thanks for being here today. Today we actually are having a little bit of a difficult conversation. And we've had conversations like this in the past. We've talked about alignment. We've talked about knowing when things feel out of whack within ourselves and kind of with the world around us. In the last episode, we treaded around the topic of mental health, obviously with a huge censorship label, considering my current career status. And that being said, I do believe there's validity in having further conversations about alignment and becoming the person that you want to be. And that starts with lying to yourself and admitting it to yourself. No one's asking you to stand in front of a crowd, much like I am right now with a freaking podcast microphone into the void that is known as the internet. No one's asking you to do all that, okay? But hopefully, as we discuss today's topics, you're able to reflect on spaces in your life in which we can better ourselves and we can share with our loved ones as well. And so, how do you stop lying to yourself? How do you even determine if you're lying to yourself? Like, how does one get into the business of lying to themselves? And it's is it a slippery slope? Great question. Sometimes lying to yourself can be it can be on the micro level. It can be small little lies, such as like, oh, I don't have to go to the gym today. I don't have to call this person, blah blah blah. Like they can be surface level and there's no harm, no foul. I'll wager to say every small little lie you tell yourself does add up, because you wouldn't trust a friend that lies to you, even if it's small little lies. So why would you trust yourself? And then it makes it really hard to trust your own intuition when it comes down to it. So little lies are building blocks into the big picture. And that's when you get into things that become more difficult to discern. Okay, so we're talking like, how do you stay in relationships you shouldn't be in? How do you end up staying in career paths you shouldn't be in? Friendships, all of the in-betweens. So in this anecdote, I will bring my own example to the table as a bargaining chip to share with you all of what are you lying to yourself about currently, and how will your body tell you that it's happening. And so when I first began my career, for the first little handful of years, I had decided this is what I'm going to do, much like a lot of people do. They pick their path, they get their whatever vocation, their training, their education, whatever your job involves. And I enjoyed it for a couple years, and then slowly but surely, little things started not quite fitting for me. And I thought at the time that, maybe there's going to be things in your career that you're not necessarily going to like. Or like a relationship when you have someone that you're dating, when you're maybe in a phase, if this sounds familiar about yourself or someone you know, maybe you watched it in a movie, all right? Of, you start seeing little signs and little icks, we call them, in modern society. But you think, maybe this is just a growing phase of getting to know them for who they are and accepting them for who they are. But then perhaps they start accumulating. And then over time, you realize you don't really want to maybe hang out with that person as much, or being around them just triggers you, and blah, 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 blah. You just start getting icked out more and more. And so the ick, I will say, is a good example, that feeling in your gut, to apply to many, many different categories of your life. And the ick factor, what icks you out, could be a good determinant for what you're lying to yourself about. And so at first, my relationship with my career, okay, no specific person, thing, place, all the things, really is where this started creeping in. And I was like, maybe it's just the way things are, and you're just not gonna sometimes like everything about your job, which is fair, okay? But then over time, it became more of a looming feeling, and I realized that over the majority of my experiences, and this is kind of sad to say, but in the last 3 years, my happiest moments have been when I am like not there, when I'm not at work. And maybe it's like when you're not with your partner, or maybe it's a opposite effect of your happiest moments, in your heart of hearts, are when you take a walk in the morning, or when you have a cup of tea before bed and you're able to read a book for 10 minutes, okay? So it doesn't have to always be like your life is better without the thing, but it could also be like your life is better when you have the thing, but then you just don't do the thing for whatever reason, or you stay in the job for whatever reason. Like I said, the commitments can vary in their scope and in their nature and how interwoven they are in your life. And so I realized that I have enjoyed most of my time way more, and then I was losing far more than I was gaining. And then it turned into like a miserable spiral, and like crying on the way to work, and wanting to not be there, like show up late or whatever. Just like a slippery spiral that I don't think a lot of people should be in. And then like it just shows in your health sometimes, if it's something that's truly like poisoning you, like your physical health. You start experiencing nervous system issues, like I said. It's difficult to open up with, especially in a room full of the internet void. And I know we've got friends in this space, and I'm hoping that this is providing insight to people and maybe help someone out there that maybe has experienced a similar thing. And then ultimately all of this has ultimately culminated in at first it was really, really, really subtle, and then it was not so subtle over, recent times, and then just realizing that, and other people, and thankfully I have an online forum, so a lot of my comments have been in this space, like, how is Eralia in her career field? She's so empathetic and so nice. And I realized that who I am in alignment isn't someone who's in the business of death and destruction, and I shouldn't firsthand be involved in that process. Like, it's just not the space for me. I want to bring light into the world, and I have so much creative energy to pour out into people and to just create and make, and I just have been so drained by this part of my life, this career part of my life. And that's where you stop lying to yourself and you start making changes. Okay, that's a heavy one to bring to the table, but once you start recognizing these things, and hopefully you're not in a table, like, it's never too late. I don't want to say like it. Hopefully you're not in a space where it's too late for you and you're already experiencing all these physical issues like I am and blah 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 blah. Like, even for myself, even though it's taken me a long time to realize, I've also nothing's ever lost. You're only ever getting closer to where you want to be, and you should enjoy the steps along the way. I've learned a lot in this time about myself, about others, about, being a more like well-rounded person, being I've been very like humbled and had a lot of worldly experiences, honestly, and so I'm very thankful for everything that I've gained, because there's no point in seeing parts of your life as like a loss. There's always something to be learned. But what have you learned from these lies that you've been telling yourself, whether they're little or not so little? Another one that's easier to fix, obviously, than a giant life change to make. Could be something as simple as like knowing that, like I said earlier, you like taking a walk in the morning, or that you like reading a book at night with a tea. And it's crazy how it's just so funny. I'm thinking about like my previous anecdote and just the immense amount of how many signs there have been of like just feeling unregulated and just needing a large cry and just feeling free whenever I'm not in the vicinity of it's ridiculous to look back and there were signs, but it's hard to see them when you're in the thick of it. So this is a judgment-free zone, and I really want you to use this and channel this to learn something, which is why I'm putting myself out there. And yeah, if you think back to the smaller examples, it's crazy how just taking that walk that one day can raise your serotonin so much. And you're like, okay, well, I'll try again tomorrow. And then something comes up and you put it off, and then lo and behold, it's been a few weeks and blah, 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 blah. The cool thing is that you don't have to do everything all the time. You don't have to hang on to every single ounce of serotonin you get like it's your last one. You don't have to keep borrowing energy. I heard this one once. It's really cool. Borrowing energy from your future self to sustain yourself now. So like, just because you have some free time doesn't mean you need to take 2-hour long walk because you don't know when your next one's gonna be. Like, you can dose it. Okay, maybe just walk for 10 minutes. Walk for 10 minutes, or sit and read for 10 minutes, because an easy one a lot of us will maybe not think about is doom scrolling. It's easy to open your phone that is customly made, and the algorithm is customly tailored to pique your interest. And so it's easier to sometimes, for some of us perhaps, to open an application and stare blankly into it for 10 minutes. And then before you know it, maybe it's been 20 or 30. It feels like no time at all has passed. And then, oh, look at that, it's time for bed. And is that really like helping your life? Even though a lot of the items on there are so creative and can be inspirational, and you can make a million excuses under the sun as to why it can be fun to peruse social media. Overall, is it in alignment with what you know feels good for you and what you know is good for your routine, your bedtime routine, your morning routine, your lunchtime routine? If you only have an hour during lunch and then you blink and you sit on your happy little phone time for an hour in your car, I mean, sure, you don't have to listen to me, all right? I'm just don't shoot the messenger, okay? I'm just trying to help. We're just trying to have a conversation. Don't yell at me, okay? And I'm no professional at this. I mean, for goodness sakes, it's taken me how long to realize that I shouldn't be in the business of, it's taken me a while. And it finally clicked. Little embarrassing for myself, but hey. once again, no lost time. I still have pride in the person I've been, but I'm more excited for the person I will become. Um, yeah. So where this conversation differs a little bit from the last one that I had, which is like alignment. Are you doing the things that you need to be doing every day to stay on track? Which I still think is super valuable. The right now counts. The little steps count. It's also, I hope you're not doing it, or we're not doing it collectively, just as coping mechanisms, as copium. Okay. I want you to take those little steps every single day and live as closely as possible to the person that you want to be. And like the person you are, we want to converge. We want to make that the same person. And so, where I'm hoping you eat your vegetables and take a little walk. I just met someone the other day, by the way, who literally can't eat vegetables. I don't know how they've made it like over 30 or 40 years. Insane. Regardless. Regardless. That just completely threw me off track. I hope that even if you eat your vegetables and you take your little walks and stuff, that you're still thinking about the bigger picture and you're still thinking about if all of these things, like if literally everything you do is in congruence with the person that you want to be. And all the feedback you're experiencing in the world around you will tell you if that's the person that you want to be. You know, like if you're in the place you need to be living, if you do the hobbies you need to do, if you're sitting around with people and you disassociate and you don't really feel like you want to be there, like all of the signs will point you to how close you are to the person in the life that you want to be in. You just have to be willing to see them. You just have to be willing to see them. Another interesting thing that I heard once upon a time, which definitely sharpened my wit, was the black coffee rule. Some people like black coffee. But that's not the point. The black coffee rule is you need to taste things as they are and stop sweetening them to make them more palpable. Yeah, and I think that speaks wonders. So I'll say it again, the black coffee rule. You need to taste things as they are and stop sweetening them to make them more palpable. Yeah, and I think that I can apply that to my life, just especially since I've been in a period of reflection the last few years, really just honing down as to why I don't feel like myself, searching for myself. Who is myself? Where do I belong? Who am I? Why are we here? You know, going down this crazy fucking rabbit hole of soul searching. But yeah, I think it's been helpful just being honest with yourself and seeing things for what they are and how they really make you feel. And a lot of this process is really selfish. Okay, I'm just gonna be upfront with you. It's selfish. And if you're like, wow, it's a lot about me, yeah, it's fucking about me. It's about you. It's about us, okay? It's about you. This process is entirely about you. And like, sure, this might be different for people who like have families and kids and stuff. But overall, it's also your life. I'll just throw that on the table too. It should be about you. And as you're trying to move things to be in more alignment with yourself, I'm not saying drop your kids and your wife and move to the Bahamas, all right? Great idea, possibly for some of you. But as you soul search and you really go down this process of discovery, it's supposed to be selfish because it is about what you want. And if people ask you, they're like, well, isn't it a little bit selfish? You're thinking about yourself and you're not thinking about me? Isn't that also selfish? Like the people, this is just generally speaking. I don't have any specific anecdotes for this, but like if people question why you're on this journey and why, you don't have to tell people. I mean, you can kind of Irish goodbye. You can just see a person and a friendship and a situation for what it is and just kind of jellyfish away from the space. You don't have to fucking announce anything, okay? I'm not in the process, I'm not in the business of ghosting people, but like Not everything has to be a formal declaration, okay? But if you do decide to be open about like, if you are genuinely like, this is a moment where you have to step away from things, seriously, and you want to communicate about that because it's a big thing in your life, like, people turn it, then like maybe they're being selfish and they also don't want to lose you and all that. Which is super valid. This is super valid. Of course they don't want to lose you. You're fucking awesome. Of course. You're great. You're an asset. You're an absolute asset on the team, guys. Of course. Of course they don't want to, because whatever you're providing to them right now, I don't know if other people are willing, because maybe you're overextending yourself or blah 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 blah. But you gotta follow your intuition. You gotta go with what you know to be true and what's in alignment with your best self. And if you don't know who you are, it's a painful process sometimes if you've like fallen out of alignment with yourself and you haven't like actually gone down a soul searching path. I've read some really incredible stories from folks that listen to the show and like how they've gone into crazy careers and really turned things around and followed their hopes and dreams, which is really cool. But if you don't know personally like who you are, then the world will tell you who you are. You will be made to be whatever cog in the machine you are placed in. And that's, that could also be chill. I'm not advocating that everyone has to have a higher motivation for, life. Maybe you're just like chilling and your name's like Steve. Sorry, Steves. And you're just like, dude, I'm just like a guy, and I'm just chilling. And like, then that's totally fine. I'm so glad. Ask Steve as to how this person's happy with their life and how they're so aligned. Because if you're just chilling and you're not really that worried about it, then you're probably in a pretty good place. And you could probably pass that wisdom along to someone else who's young and maybe tweaking out about who they want to be when they grow up. I mean, that applies to any age, any point in life. You can always reevaluate who you want to be when you grow up, because you only get one shot at this, more or less. And we should all be supporting each other and trying to achieve the highest and best version of ourselves. Along with that, as we are stopping the lies, everyone with me now, we are stopping the lies. We are no longer lying to ourselves. We're not lying. Like, we gotta replace the things. I've got so many off the top of my head. I know I like to read before bed, and every time I make a cup of tea and read, I feel so much better. I know I want to stop biting my nails. Like, why do I do these things? It's really just like, God, baby steps. Before I start crashing out, what I wanted to say is that it's all in baby steps. No one's saying that you have to, like I said earlier in the show, pulling from tomorrow's energy just to make it happen today. Like, no one said that just because you have a little bit of free time, you gotta walk for 2 hours. Start in a 10-minute interval. If you want to get better at that thing, just set a timer and do it for 6 minutes, 6 to 9 minutes. That's all you got in the day. Yeah. Because this addiction that the world has kind of placed on some of us, perhaps, to always having like a perfect output, because we're fed that on social media. Always having a perfect output, or always putting a bunch of time into things, or you can't do something if it doesn't bring you money, or insert whatever other excuse. If you want to do the thing, I would wager you should do the thing in bite-sized pieces. Right now, the one I'm trying to personally overcome is I recently realized that I love music, and I have loved music for a long time. I did music in my teens, just a little bit, singing, and it's been a really long time since I connected with any of that. It's been like a decade since I've done anything music related outside of sometimes like singing in the car. And I realized it's something that I do want to better myself at. And so I've been intentionally practicing singing a few times a week, and then I downloaded a music production app, and I just started playing around with making music. And I'm going to keep speaking this into the world and keep mentioning it in podcasts or to my friends to hold myself accountable to like, hey, remember that one time I said I was going to, like, I want to actually do this thing, you know? So that's one thing. And I don't have to be perfect at it. It's just something that I want to do. I don't have to post a result anywhere. It's just something for funsies. And who knows, if you start whatever it is that you want to start right now, even if it's the hard thing, if you know it's easy as drinking tea and meditating, or all the way to like changing your career path and your relationship, whatever that looks like. If you start today, in 10 years, you know, let's say you're like 25 or 35. By 45 in 10 years, like who knows where you'll be if you actually start game planning and coming up with an execution plan for these ideas and these thoughts in your mind, because we are limitless. I am here to tell you that I want you to see the light in yourself that I see in all of you, and that you're capable of many, 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 many great things. You don't have to limit yourself. Yeah, it's insane to think about how much you could achieve if you think about it. And like that's why in grade school they used to, you know, go, what's your 1 year, what's your 5 year, what's your 10-year plan? And then somewhere along the way we lost the plot and we stopped thinking about these things. Even if it's probably because they're difficult, probably because they can be difficult. But I believe in you, and yeah, I'm excited for the future and what it'll bring for all of us. And hopefully every single day we are shrinking the space between who we want to become and who we are, and we're living more in alignment with that each and every single day. We're taking the baby steps to get there that we know are best for us. We're not lying to ourselves anymore. Just take a little notebook and just write it all out. You don't have to put it on blast. You don't have to put it on a projector, okay? Just write that shit out and have a heart-to-heart with yourself. All right. Take care of yourself. I appreciate you guys for listening to today's episode, and I look forward to reading the comments about what you guys have to say, what you guys have to think about this topic. I think it's truly fascinating, and we could talk about so many different ways to approach this human condition, and this longing, this sense of yearning. I've always in my life, my tank has always felt like I've got like 50 tanks, and I've always wanted to do 50 things and pursue 50 different careers and hobbies and all these things and just bring so much light into the world. So I really, 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 really enjoy chatting with you all about these things. Thank you for being here, and I will see you guys in the next episode. See ya.